And welcome to another edition of the Buzz Around Texoma video podcast. I am your host, Zach Grantham. And of course, we want to thank our sponsor, The Point Restaurant out there at Grandpappy Point Resort and Marina on Lake Texoma. And I'm very excited to have our very special guest on for this episode of the Buzz Around Texoma. We have my friend and also owner of a Classic Chevrolet Cadillac in Denison. It's Eric Bryant. Eric, how are you?
Doing great. How are you?
I am doing well. And, Eric has been, Eric and I, we've had a friendship for a long time, but also a partnership in radio, talking about your dealership here in the Texoma area. So there's a whole bunch of different things that we can talk about regarding you, Eric. You're like an onion, just peel back layer after layer. But I wanted to ask you in particular. So I know you've been in the car business for a long time.
Absolutely.
But you started at another dealership down south, and you kind of worked your way up to the point to where you're like, okay, Classic Chevrolet Cadillac in Grayson County. I wanted to kind of be like, well, where I came from, right?
Sure. Well, that's absolutely true. In fact, from the time I was a little kid, about elementary school age, I planned my entire life to go into law enforcement. I thought that the good Lord put me on this earth to serve and protect.
Mm-hmm.
And I got my first job in the car business to actually pay my way through college. And my first 2 weeks in the business, I was salesman of the month.
Nice.
And I was kind of blown away by that. And I don't know, I kind of fell in love with it. And one thing after another happened. I got promoted in my first 6 months in the car business into finance. So I took a break from school and my career just kind of blossomed from there. When my wife and I wanted to move back home and start a family, I'd been in the car business for about a year and a half. So we wanted to move back close to where her parents lived in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we moved back there, got recruited by an organization known as the Vantal Group. And I was with them for about 4 or 5 years, did both finance, used car manager, new car manager. And during the time period that I was with that organization, a lot of the managers at the store kept talking about this man that owned a Chevrolet dealership in the Metroplex that we were competing against to try to be number one in DFW. And they talked about what a great man he was, how much he loved and took care of his employees and his customers, and how he empowered everybody to do business the right way. And they spoke like he was a legend. And they kept saying, if you ever get a chance to meet Tom Durant, drop everything. And I thought, well, okay. I mean, I don't know that I ever will, but, and then oddly enough, I was getting recruited by another auto group, and, the night before I was going to sign on the bottom line, I got a phone call from a friend that worked with Tom that said Tom Durant wanted to meet me. And I was kind of taken aback. I didn't know, how to hear about me, what.
Yeah. And you remember the previous conversation
exactly.
Drop everything.
Yeah. So I pushed back my appointment the next morning to meet and sign with the AutoNation group, and went to meet Tom at 6:30 in the morning. And I knew the minute I shook his hand that was where I belonged.
Awesome.
And so I was there for 14 years with him. Started out in finance, and was promoted to finance director. I got to enjoy that through the credit collapse, which made it for quite an adventure.
Yeah.
And then promoted to GSM and running the store. But in that 14-year time period that I was with him, we went from trying to be number one in DFW to becoming number one in the nation for 9 years running. And still to this day, is the largest GM dealership in the world. And it was actually that 14 years that afforded me the opportunity to become a dealer myself. And when Tom and I started looking at potential opportunities, we looked at several places throughout the southern part of the U.S., a number of stores, and then one popped up right here in my hometown. And it was kind of funny. Tom mentioned it in passing, and because it was the import stores down the street, and I've been a Chevy guy most of my life. But when he brought it up, he said, "Oh, there's this other one, and I don't think you'd be interested. It's the 3 import stores in Denison. Do you know where Denison is?" And I said, "Are you kidding me?"
Yes, I do, actually.
That's where I grew up.
Yeah.
That's where all my family is. I said, I want to go see it. I mean, having the opportunity to grow up in this wonderful community with the best people on earth, go out and learn what I did in the car business, grow up under the mentorship of the greatest car guy I've ever known in my life that loves people, loves doing the right thing, taking care of the community, taking care of the customer, taking care of his people and his team. And by doing all the right things and having a business that is inspired by our faith to become number one in the world. I mean, if there's not something that doesn't scream doing the right thing, pays great dividends, that it makes him number one in the world, and then I can take what I learned from him and bring it right back to my hometown where I was raised and where all my friends and extended family and everything is. I thought, well, somebody else designed this.
Yeah.
I'm just following the path he put before me. So
yeah, for sure. Well, we're going to talk more with Eric Bryant coming up in just a moment about his love for the Texoma community, coming up right after this. And welcome back to the Buzz Around Texoma video podcast. A big thank you to the Point Restaurant out there at Grandpappy Point Resort and Marina on Lake Texoma for being our sponsor for the Buzz Around Texoma. And of course, we still have Eric Bryant here. He's the owner and operator of Classic Chevrolet Cadillac in beautiful Denison, Texas. So we were talking about before the break, Eric, we were talking about how you kind of got to become a dealer yourself. So you had a mentor kind of help you along, and then you got in the Denison area with the import dealership. And but the reason why you were so attracted to that is because you are from the Texoma area. So a lot of people don't know that your family and yourself, I mean, y'all are intertwined with the Durant community.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I spent the first half of my childhood, we lived in Durant, Oklahoma. My parents were from there. My grandfathers on both sides. My papaw was somewhat of a legend, still is. He owned George's Drive-In right there in downtown Durant. And so I grew up eating a lot of number fours. And I still miss them desperately to this day. In fact, I wouldn't be on this earth if it wasn't for George's Drive-In.
All right, we got to tell the story about the number 4.
Well, my granddad owned the house that was directly behind George's Drive-In. In fact, he owned the land where George's Drive-In was put in. And it was the introduction of my papaw to my granddad, both named George, that started it all. My papaw contacted my granddad asking him if he could lease the land to put George's there. As a result, they did. He built George's. They became good friends. And because of the close proximity, when they had kids, their kids grew up together. So my granddad was my mother's father, and my papaw was my dad's father. And they grew up together in school, became high school sweethearts.
Oh.
As a result, got married, and here I am. So
yeah, there you are.
my middle name is George, after both of my grandfathers. And my daughter is named Georgia after my papaw. She was actually born on his birthday, as a matter of fact. So
awesome. Yeah, and I know a lot of people watching this right now remember Georgia's for sure and have very fond memories. But of course, it's the reason why you love the Texoma area so much is because you're from the area. You know, I always talk about Eric Bryant not only talks the talk about loving the community, but he also walks the walk. He's also intertwined with a lot of different organizations here in the Texoma area. But it kind of comes back to the car dealership, your brand new facility right off of Highway 75. I know you've been thinking about this for several years about how you wanted to have the Chevy dealership right off of 75 in Grayson County. So I know you're very excited. I know, by the way, this has been a couple of years. It's been open now, but I know you probably are still in awe when you walk on the facility, the premises every single day.
I really am. I don't know what I did to be blessed with such a remarkable life and be surrounded by such amazing people.
Mm-hmm.
The Chevrolet has always been a big passion for me. It was what my father drove, what my grandfather drove. It's where I spent the vast majority of my career, of course. When I got the opportunity to acquire Team Bonner, the Chevrolet store here in Denison, a couple of years after acquiring imports, I was ecstatic to be back with the GM brand. And in fact, it was when I was in the process of building this store, I spent a year and a half on the design element just to make sure it was perfect. Mm-hmm. And then another year and a half of construction. But when the walls first went up, and the first time I stood in that shop, I could see the potential for this location. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, everything came rushing back to me that I experienced in Grapevine when we grew that to become number one in the world. And it was almost like, I could taste it.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? I need to go ahead and sell the import store so I can focus 100% of my time, energy, and resources on bringing to Texoma what we brought to Grapevine. And I want to make this the biggest, most beautiful dealership on the planet, and I want to help it be the pride of Texoma land. And we're going to work very hard to try to bring those trophies here.
Well, if you're looking for a newer pre-owned vehicle, of course, Eric and his staff can help you out with that. But we need to talk about Steve Jones, because I know he's also a legend in the Durant area for sure. And I imagine your employees that work over in the shop thank you too, because one of the big things when the shop was being built is that it has a heater and it has AC. Absolutely. And you don't have a lot of that here in the area, which is why there's a big turnover rate with people that are working on your vehicles. That's not the case over at Classic Chevrolet Cadillac, because everything's in case. Like, you're not going to suffer in the hot months working on vehicles.
It's climate controlled. The average temperature during the summer is in the low to mid 70s.
Oh, legit.
And nice and toasty in the winter. It's great. No, Steve Jones is absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. I've been in this business a lot of years, and I've never seen anyone with the level of commitment, talent, exact same passion for the customer. Mm-hmm. In fact, he was my Honda service manager when I first got here. It took us a moment to recognize it, but we actually went to elementary school together. And when I came in, I had a conversation with Steve, because the location when I'd acquired it didn't have the best reputation. Mm-hmm. Steve did.
Yeah.
But I came in, the very first thing I did was I got with him. I said, what do you need to be successful? He said, well, I need you to help me fix the front end where we can sell more cars, because a lot of the customers that bring their vehicles here for service are buying the vehicle somewhere else, but they're still maintaining loyalty to me. So I gave Steve all the resources and support I could. And Steve actually made me number one in the entire nation in customer satisfaction for Honda.
Wow.
Within the first 2 years of acquiring. And I was so blown away by that, I offered to put him over all of my fixed operations, service department, and everything. It took me a little while to talk him into it. But once I did, he started growing that same mindset and that same outstanding customer service across all the franchises. Mm-hmm. Of course, even when I acquired the Chevrolet store. So now Steve's a legend.
Yeah.
He's the best in the business as far as I can.
Well, I will say I love Steve because he doesn't give me a hard time when I call him and go, hey, Steve, I accidentally put windshield wiper fluid in my oil tank. Is that a problem? And instead of, giving me a hard time about it, he's like, just bring it in, we'll fix it for you. But then when I get here, then he's razzing me because, of course, because it means he likes me, Yeah. But anyways, well, Eric, thank you so much for being on the podcast this week. And you know what? I think you and I are very passionate about a local initiative here in Texoma. Maybe we'll have you on next week to talk about law enforcement. But that's Eric Bryant with Classic Chevrolet Cadillac here in Denison, 899 South Highway 75. Come by and see his staff, or you can visit their inventory online at classictexoma.com. Texoma.com. And that's going to do it for this week of the Buzz Around Texoma video podcast. Hey, we would love for you to like this episode, follow it, hit that bell on YouTube, and of course, if you see it on Facebook, be able to share it with your family and friends as well. And then we'll see you next week on another episode of the Buzz Around Texoma.